Welcome to SethCraft. I'm currently building a 20 by 30 shop, and it's time to install a wall that has a window in it. I'm going to be using this 24 by 36 window, and so the dimensions that I build my window wall in will have this in mind. Alright, let's go ahead and get started on this build. This wall is going to be 10 foot long. The window is going to be right here in this corner, one stud away from the end. So let's go ahead and lay out our bottom and top plates and then start getting all the studs in here that we need to make this wall. I've selected my top and bottom plate. The first thing I want to do is look down these boards and see which side the crown is on, and it will face up. So that one's facing up. The crown is basically just the curve of the board. All right, yep, so they're both facing up right there. These are 10-foot boards. I've already measured. I'm going to match up the ends here to make sure they are flush. Very good. Now that I have the crown of these boards facing up, I'm going to use my tape measure, speed square, and pencil to mark out where my studs are going to go. So the very first thing is that at 1.5 inches here on the end, I'm going to have a stud. I'm also going to have a California corner here, so that'll be accounted for later. But all right, at the 16-inch mark, I'm going to move away from the 16-inch on center by 3/4 of an inch on both sides, and that will essentially be where my stud is going to be. And now I'm going to move down the line and mark out all of those 16-inch on center all the way down the board. And once I have that done, it's time to work on our window placement. So the window is going to start here on this side of this first stud. And so I need to move over 1.5 inches, and that's going to be where the first jack stud is going to be. And now from 18.25, I'm going to move over 24 inches, which is 42.25, and I'm going to mark there, and that's going to be the next jake stud. And so right next to that, I also have to have another king stud. All right, and now I can take my speed square and transfer all of these lines onto both boards. For this wall, I need a total of 10 full-length studs. They're going to be cut at 115.5 inches. The reason for that number is because I want 10-foot walls, and I'm going to cut basically the bottom plate, the top plate, and then the secondary top plate out of this board, and that'll be 115.5 inches. All right, for these full length, I need 115.5 inches. Go ahead and cut all 10 of these down. I like to use a speed square as a guide to make sure my cuts are consistent here with this circular saw. I'm going to lay out the top and bottom plates so that I can begin putting these studs in here. Now it is important to not twist these around because the layout is of course going to match the top and the bottom. And now I can simply place these 15.5-inch boards in between here. One thing to note whenever I am placing these, I also need to make sure the crown of these boards is facing up. So this one right here needs to be facing in this way. In order to provide a surface to nail sheetrock to, I'm going to be installing a California corner. So basically I'm going to put two 2x4s together and then take the third one and put it on top. And so this edge and this edge will be part of the corner. So I basically want to use the third board as just a support. I'm going to make sure the end here is flush on both sides, and then I'm just going to start attaching this with some screws here. Okay, starting from this one end, I'm going to move down a little bit and line that up again. Maybe hard for you to see from that angle, but the board down here starts to vary off a bit. So I'm going to be able to move that inward as I move down here. So we put another screw in about right here. All right, now the board that was used to support that can be removed. And there we have it. That is a California corner. And I'll show you that in a little bit for the purpose of that. But basically it just adds an extra piece for sheetrock to be attached to. Now it's time to start on the window. I want the bottom of the window to be at 40 foot, which means I have to subtract the bottom board and the plate on the bottom, which is 3 inches. And so I need to have this cripple stud in here at 37 inch. So I need 3 of those total for the bottom of this window. And then the bottom plate of the window is going to be 27 inches. So 3 at 37, 1 at 27. 37. 27. Now the rough opening of this window is 24 by 36, which means I need to cut 2 36-inch boards to go on the sides, and then I need 2 more of those 27-inch boards up top, and that's going to be my header above that window. 2 at 27, 2 at 36. The 2 36-inch boards will go here and right here, and that finishes the sides of the window. Now I'm going to take this double 27 board and place it right here. Now remember, this is a storage building, but the proper way to do this would be to cut your boards in this direction, probably even a 2x6 instead of a 2x4, and then you would sandwich 1/2 inch OSB in between and then nail that in this way. But for a storage building, this right here is going to be sufficient. Now if you take 115.5 inches, which is what our studs are, and you subtract 1.5 here, 37 here, 1.5, 36, and then 3 here, that leaves you with 38 inches for these 3 right here. So let me cut 3 more at 38 inch. All right, I need to have 3 at 38. The 3 at 38 will go right up here on top of the window, just like that. Now I can actually press the top and bottom plates into position just to essentially do a dry run here. A dry fit to make sure everything's going to work together. I never have purchased a nail gun, so I'm going to be getting this attached with screws here. I've got 3.5 inch Torx head screws. I'm also going to put some nails in here as well, just to make sure it's nice and secure. I have the studs secured to the bottom plate, and now I'm going to work on the window. So I've gone ahead and got the first 2 studs here on the top secure. And so what I'm going to do is also lock in the top and bottom of this 36 inch, and then I will put some screws in this way to lock everything down to this king stud over here. I now have this side of the window all the way locked down, and so I'm going to start moving in that direction. So the next thing to do is get this triple stud installed here. So I've already got the marking up here. What I need to do is then find out, so you got 13 inch right there. Just match this up over here. And so I'm essentially going to do the same as I did on this side over there. Just lock everything down from the top and bottom, and it should be good to go. Now on this board right here, I'm going to have to toenail, which is essentially just going in a diagonal from the side over here. All right, and that's what it's going to be like here for the rest of the run. I'm just going to line up all of these studs and move on down and lock things together. Before I put this one in, I'm going to go into that side of the window and make sure that the top and bottom seal are good. Now because I'm working with a 10-foot wall, I have to have fire blocking in. And so what I'm going to do is stagger those at the 4 and 8 foot marks. And that will also give my OSB and sheetrock something else to attach to. So I'm basically going to measure and mark out 4 foot and 8 foot and make a line all the way across here. And then I can put my blocking in between. And now I'm going to use a straight edge to transfer that mark all the way across. Whenever I cut my blocking, I want it to be just right. If you don't have it just right, it will bow out these boards and throw off your outside edge. So I want to measure in between here and see that is 5 3/4 right there. All right, I'm going to get this first block put into position here, and I'm going to start it below my line. As you can see, this is a very tedious process. Let me get the rest of these put in, and then we will stand this wall up. I just finished up the blocking, as you can see right here, and I also got these over here. Now these required a little extra work because I had to cut around that California corner. No big deal though, 3.5 inches over, 1.5 inches down, and it's good to go. All right, I did measure out my window, and I'm about 1/8 of an inch short in both directions, but my window has a 1/2 inch of room to spare, so I am perfectly fine with that 1/4 inch being off. All right, now is the time to go ahead and set this wall into place. I like to put liquid nails adhesive down on the floor before I put the wall in. I feel like this does 2 different things. It helps lock this wall into place, but also helps keep any bugs out. And I definitely don't want bugs to be getting in through the gap between the plywood and the wall. I'm also going to put some up the wall. I'm also going to start some of these 3.5 inch screws to make this easier to lock into place once it's up in the air. I'm going to climb up on my sawhorse and hopefully get the rest of this connection right here locked down with some screws. Either that or this will be the blooper reel. Besides the screws, I also put several nails down here in the bottom to hold that wall in place. And of course, once that adhesive is cured under there, it won't be going anywhere. Same with the side over here. It's got that adhesive and those screws, and that will keep it locked down nice and tight. Like I said before, I was about 1/8 of an inch off in both directions with this window, but the window itself has about 1/2 inch on both sides to work with, so should be just fine with the dimensions. I did install this little block over here to prevent this wall from falling over on this side, and once the other walls are installed, it will be nice and secure. And this concludes my installation of a wall with a window. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I have lots more content on the way for this 20 by 30 workshop build. I'm Seth with the SethCraft Workshop, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.